Hi, welcome to CareerHeart.com. We are here with Rue Conaway, co-owner of Corky Creations, as well as leader of the nonprofit 4M and director of the Pregnancy Center. So here, how people are taking charge of their careers and defining their own career destinies. And so we're going to explore Rue's multivariate path today. Hi, Rue.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself and give your pitch to our audience?
My pitch. Okay, so hi, I'm Rue. I am, as Zinga said, co-owner of Corky Creations. I'm also president and CEO of 4M Missionary Ministries, which is a nonprofit that I took over from my mother, and it provides actually Tupperware to missionaries around the world, but also other needed items. And then finally, I am director of Coleman Pregnancy Center, which I actually took from a very dead and dying agency and brought it into Coleman and made it successful.
Wow. So how long have you been going at this? How long have you owned your own business? How long have you ran your nonprofit, and how long have you been director of the Pregnancy Center?
All right, so I've owned my own business. Kat and I started, my business partner, Kat, and I started October 2014. So we've been doing this for a little over a year. This is the first year we're filing our taxes. Then I've been at the Pregnancy Center for almost 2 years. I took over my mom's.
Okay, so going back to discussing you owning your own business. Just sticking with the 9-to-5 job, I'm going to go out and I'm going to run my own business and I'm going to take charge of my own mission in life. So could you tell me a little bit more about what Corky Creations is?
Yeah, so Corky Creations is a sip and paint or wine and canvas. They're super popular right now. And it's a company that goes out into people's homes, and we also have public paintings as well. And we basically help people meet their inner artists. So they do, they're essentially BYOB, or not at all. And then it's about 3 hours, they pick their painting, Kat and I come in and we help them learn to paint or remind them that they knew how to paint all along. Yeah, it's really spurring the inner creativity.
Wow. So a sip and paint, you know, those are really, really popular, and I think they became popular maybe about a year or two ago.
Probably two or 3 years ago.
Is there a lot of competition for you in the area?
There's a ton, and I think one of the hardest things that because I'm more competitive than Kat, had to accept was that we weren't going to be able to compete with the corporates, like the paint night, because they're like, they're not international, but they're national. So they're all over the United States. They're all over the country. And that's how a lot of these companies are. So it's been definitely tough because Kat and I both work other jobs. So we don't have the time and energy to, like, blow up huge. But we're okay with that at the same time.
Yeah? Yeah. So how do you kind of distinguish yourself from corporate agencies?
Well, what we say is that we're the mom and pop store of the sip and paint game. So we come into your home and you can wear your sweatpants if you want, and you don't have to worry about drinking and driving because we're at your house, and you can have your own wine instead of paying, $7 per glass of wine. You can pay $7 for a bottle of wine, and it's so much cheaper and it's more intimate, and that makes us so much. It's just her and I. You see is what you get, and we're nice. So
yeah. Okay, so why painting? As all the businesses that you could have started, you do very decorative, you're a very crafty person.
Yes.
Are you an artist yourself? Do you have like this driving, burning passion to paint all the time? Why did you choose that?
No, I think the reason we did it was because I went to one and then I was like, hey, Kat, you should come. These are fun. She's like, okay. And then I was like, we should have one for my annual wine tasting party. And so we did, and then we were like, we could probably keep doing this. And we just kind of did. Sort of just like we had fun doing it, and we were like, okay. And then eventually we became a business.
Yeah.
It was super accidental. Like, we stumbled into owning a business.
It was accidental? So did anyone help you along the way to starting the business, or you just kind of knew what to do?
Eventually we had people help, like a owner of Little City Grow, which is a local restaurant down the way. He gave us a lot of help because he's a small business owner. That's what he does. He starts up businesses and then moves on.
Okay.
So I had help from him giving us some advice and stuff, but Kat and I really, truly just kind of waded it through. We just started our marketing. We did Facebook. I mean, I have some experience with marketing through my other jobs that I have, and we just kind of used our charm and our personality and to build rapport with people, and that's what really helped.
That's good.
I think.
Yeah, I think it really helps too. I've been to a couple of your sip and paints, and just that homey feeling of you're at home with friends doing something fun. That's definitely something that's different from what I think a corporate person could bring to the table.
Very much so.
So kind of going back to, you started this while you were working a full-time job, and you said that you revived your job from pretty much dead in the water to something growing and thriving.
Yes.
That must have been a difficult project to do alongside starting your own business. So what helped lead you through those times?
Therapy and lots of caffeine.
Yeah.
I think it's just I have a passion, and when I get passionate, I am on fire and I go. And so that really helped because it was really invigorating and energizing to be working with the Pregnancy Center, making it into this successful entity of a larger agency. That kept me really motivated. And then as far as balancing Corky Creations with it, it was, as I was getting the structure of the Pregnancy Center down, actually a lot of that structure copied over so I could follow the same kinds of marketing plans or the same sort of, I don't know, how things were set up to run. It was actually very similar, oddly enough. So the similarities between the two, even though one's a business and one's a nonprofit, that did help a lot. Okay. And then simply caffeine and wine and therapy.
Caffeine, wine, and therapy.
Yes.
Were there any therapy moves or techniques that you used to get you through stressful times?
I think that crafting was my big stress. I mean, that's not my therapist, but we started making jewelry, obviously, as you know. Kat and I started to do that. Just being able to get lost in something where I'm putting everything aside for a little bit and not leaving my 9 to 5 at my 9 to 5, come home and do Corky Creations here, or don't even do Corky Creations here and just sit and make a pillow or, do something like that. And then there's a lot of breathing techniques and stuff that helps when you start to get anxious, because it turns out I have some anxiety.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh.
Which is funny because I have a background in mental health, so you'd think I would have caught on to that right away, but no.
Yeah?
So, yeah.
How did you find out? As you were growing your business, it kind of came out?
Yeah, I think it was just a combination of the Pregnancy Center, because that was probably one of the most stressful things I've ever done to date in my life, was this center, because there's so many things against us. There was so much against our success. No one was on our side. It didn't feel like. And so every day I felt like I was going in there like the little David and Goliath. I was the David, obviously.
Yeah.
The little person trying to, make it in this world. And it was really stressful. So I noticed my breathing was getting worse, and I couldn't breathe, and I had asthma, and I was going to the doctor, and he was like, "Do you have anxiety?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "I would know if I had anxiety." He's like, you might want to check. And so, yes, so just the breathing and stopping and realizing that the way that I hold my breath and all those kinds of things was actually aiding in my anxiety rather than helping it move through my body like you're supposed to.
Wow, that's pretty major. So your breathing kind of triggered, your anxiety. Well, it helped. It was like a metric almost.
Yeah.
So if you feel like you're not breathing right, you might want to look into how anxious you're feeling or how stressed you're feeling, and discuss it with your doctor.
Yeah,
because they'll definitely
that's definitely important.
That. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so kind of going back to the business and then getting fast forwarding to here now.
Yes.
You're past the startup phase. You're about to be filing taxes after 1 year in. So what would you say are 3 lessons you learned 1 year later of running so many things and doing it successfully?
Downtime's so important. I really just realized that New Year's weekend, I came home from New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, I came home and I literally locked myself in my house for the weekend, and I just reorganized my house. I cleaned, I moved my room around and stuff, because I never get a chance to do that ever. I don't ever get time to just be at home for an entire day. I'm always having to go to work or go to a festival or go to Corky Creations or Limitless Ambition or something like that. Because I'm also on the board of Limitless Ambition, which is Zenga is president of that. So
yes.
So there's always something to do, and just realizing that work isn't what gives me pleasure and validation. Like, work is wonderful and work pays my bills, but that's not what I need to be bringing home with me to be my coping mechanism. Because I would work late hours because I didn't want to be here or, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's super not healthy.
Okay.
Because there's, like, that passion that can come from taking that passion that is at work and that I do get from working with people and that I do get from starting a business or, the creativity that comes from that and bringing that elsewhere in my life and it not just being monotonous, like you know what I mean?
Yeah, so taking downtime is one of the things that kind of got you through to this point.
Mm-hmm.
What are two other things that did that as well?
Kat, my business partner.
Okay.
If it wouldn't have been, I wouldn't have been successful if it wasn't for her. First of all, she's the artist. I'm not the artist. She paints, but she's also very forgiving. She's very understanding. So if I forgot to write something down or I didn't get the website up to date quick enough, she didn't really care. Mm-hmm. She was very okay, if I'm late to a thing. She's just really good. Because she's a very busy person too, so she's very forgiving. And having that, I think we have a very unique friendship/relationship because we are both super busy, but we're also very empathetic and understanding people.
Yeah.
So that helps a lot. So having her and our communication styles are really good together. And then one more thing that I've learned, right?
Yeah.
That anybody can, because that's sorry. Am I allowed to say bitch?
Sure.
Sorry.
I don't care.
There's a woman that's not just like Frosty and puts that first and blah, 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 because that's the stereotype I think that you get of businesswomen sometimes, the negative stereotype. But I can be a business owner and be in mental health, and I don't have to be all about the money. It can be about the product, or it can be about other people. That can be my business income, essentially. So, I don't know. Yeah. Anybody can do it.
So if you don't see yourself as a business owner, what would you define yourself as?
A passionate person.
A passionate person.
A hobbyist. I would really say I'm a hobbyist.
Okay.
Obviously, I said I make pillows, I make jewelry, I painted, I started a painting company, I was delved into the nonprofit thing and got into that. I love looking at a problem or taking something I don't understand and learning about it and then being able to reproduce it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, that's really what I think a big part of it is, and that's going to help me moving forward, because I don't have a professional nature. I'm not a professional person at all. I don't ever want to be personally. That's just me personally. And so I think that helps a lot when I'm looking at it like I'm a hobbyist rather than a business person, because it sort of changes the dynamic of the way you interact with your work. Maybe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you're kind of, you can always have your own style and your own rules, and if it's more informal and relaxed, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because you're not really seeking to be at the pinnacle of business.
Right, and I kind of think that I will eventually one day get up there and be a leader or be, in a very professional setting, because I think that's just kind of the direction my life is taking me. Mm-hmm. It's just I'm climbing my own ladder and doing it my own way, which I think is going to be the best way to get me there, because if I had to constantly be trying to fill shoes that I don't really fit into, I would just be tripping and falling all the time, and I'd look stupid.
Well, I like your shoes. Just back to the questions. So, kind of to help out people out there that are interested in starting their own or taking their own hobby and turning it into a business, what would you say are some strengths that you would have to bring to the table to do that?
Resiliency. Yeah. So you need to be resilient and know that just keep going regardless of obstacles that you're facing. Resiliency, right?
Yeah.
Saying something.
So we had to pause for a second because I brought my daughter with me and she cried and I gave her back her pacifier, which we call Chupa. So
example of a working woman for real.
You better. So actually we are going to talk about this idea of how your life didn't turn out to what you thought it would be.
Yes.
And so what were you discussing with me?
So basically what I was saying is that I always thought that my life was going to be, I was going to graduate college with a degree that was going to help me be independent for a little bit of time, and then I was going to meet someone. I was going to become like the housewife, the stay-at-home mom. I was going to cook and clean and work so we could have money, and then I'd stay home when I had kids. Mm-hmm. Like, I was going to be married by now. I'm turning 27 in a week, and less than a week. Oh, God.
It's happening. Tuesday.
Yes. I was going to be married by the time I was graduating college and moving into grad school. Like, I just had all these not ridiculous, but unrealistic, because you can't make that happen, ideas and goals. And so a really big part, I think, of my 24th age year was accepting the fact that, like, I'm not where I wanted to be. I am moving forward in my life in this completely different direction. Like, literally nothing that I'm doing right now, none of my passions, none of my goals, nothing was anything that I had expected at all. And having to grieve sort of the loss of that. And, because I can't go back and be younger and, be a healthier individual and meet somebody healthy earlier on. And, like, I can't do that. And so I had to really grieve that. And I think that was a really big part of probably age 24 or 25 was really accepting that. Probably 25. Mm-hmm. It was tough. Maybe even 26.
Yeah.
It's been a growing process.
Yeah. Stepping into 27, I could really see this between 25 and 26 being that year where you're like, okay, so I'm not a millionaire. Let's move forward.
Yeah. Let's move on. I didn't meet this goal that I wanted. Well, it was all about, like, realistic expectations and realistic ideas, because I only ever wanted to do all of that just because my own, the things that I lacked in my own individual, I wanted to fill that with all sorts of the wrong things. And I think that this year, the Pregnancy Center and owning my own business and starting to run my mom's nonprofit has taught me that there are things that are going to make we can get our own worth from our own selves, and then we can run forward with that. And that's not something I've ever done before. It's always been to, like, hit that unrealistic idea of, like, being married with kids at the age, and it's not unrealistic for some people, but it's totally unrealistic for me.
We're going to wrap up our video segment with the question that we ask everyone that's on the show. Could you name 3 blogs, websites, or books that have helped you to move your business forward or get you started in your business success?
Yeah, maybe. So I don't really remember what this book was called, so that's not helpful, but it was this, it was an assessment that I learned at a conference that I went to. It basically talks about the cycle of nonprofit management, or nonprofit success, and I really wish I could remember what it was called. Basically, the point is that there are, like, 4 or 5 different phases of a nonprofit, and each of those phases is led by a different type of person. Mm-hmm. And in a nonprofit, you need each of these, or in a business or anything, you need each of these kinds of people to make it run. Like, you can't always have a leader because they'll start a lot of fires and they won't put them out. So you need, like, the firefighters to come in, like I don't remember what they're called. But I can give you the link or something if you post links with it. But there's this quiz, and I had all of my volunteers at the Pregnancy Center take it because it identifies what kind of person you are. Okay. And that was so super helpful, because then as a manager or as a business owner, I could learn, I need to talk to you like this, or I need to explain things to you like that, or I need to expect that from you, or I can ask you to do these types of tasks. Right. Rather than get stuck in a rut because you're doing something that you're not comfortable with, or you feel overwhelmed, you don't feel like you can, do anything. So learning about my people and doing this, it's this whole book series thing, so I know that's not helpful. Yeah, well, definitely have to get the link to that and put it in the description box below. You think you could find it easily? Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm just not good at remembering names and things at all. What about, like, any, like, blogs or that you like? Or vlogs? Because vlogs are good. So a lot of my success, I think, has actually come from my psychology books. Okay. Reading it and keeping me there. There's, like, the psychology of there's, like, psychology of success books, and there's the psychology of being a leader, and there's all of those kinds of things. So learning what your leadership style is, and learning what kind of person you can be and what kind of manager you're going to be, that's been super helpful to read. Okay. That's just sort of an introspection thing. And then I actually was writing my own blog, but it wasn't business related.
Yeah.
But once again, it was something that sort of helped work out a lot of the internal. I'm a very internally driven person right now, so reading things that helped me become more centered on myself and become more grounded as a person helped with my business, because it helped me tap into that passion and go forward with it.
Okay.
So I would say, if anything, more than not blogs or books, but just like talking with people like you and Alicia, and like you guys read those things and you guys inform me on what I need to be doing and that kind of stuff. And that's been, I think, most helpful.
Okay.
The stuff you guys tell me and the links you send, and like the different things you post on our Facebook page, the different articles and stuff.
All right.
Yeah, on how to run nonprofit.
Cool. So I am the source. No, I'm just...
This girl. Follow her. Do things. Read her blog.
Yeah. So, well, thank you for joining us, Rue Conaway, owner of Corky Creations,
President and executive director. Wait, founder, leader. I'm CEO.
Executive Director of 4M.
There you go.
Yes.
And then project coordinator at the Coleman Pregnancy Center.
Project coordinator of the Coleman Pregnancy Center. Vice President of Limitless Ambition, our favorite nonprofit.
Yeah.
And also just an at-home crafty artist.